Hello everyone, welcome back to the tutorials again. So in previous session we have completed with the unit that flow of water through soil. So in today's session we are going to start with the compaction of the soil unit. So compaction and consolidation are two important phenomena which are required for civil engineering. So first of all I will start with the compaction, then we will move to the consolidation part. So for your syllabus they have mentioned the name of this unit as it is unit number 5 from part B. So unit number 5 from part B. So the name is mentioned as compressibility of soil. So compressibility of soil is mainly going to deal with compaction and consolidation. So I have just directly mentioned the name of unit as compaction of soil. So you can see compaction means pressing of soil particles close to each other by mechanical method. So remember it is by mechanical method. So compaction means, the definition for compaction is it is the method or pressing of it is the method or process of pressing the soil particles in order to expel the air from the wide space in soil mass, and therefore the mass density of soil is going to increase. So you can see here, if I consider an amount of soil, in that amount of soil particles are present and voids are present. In the voids, either water or air may be present. So you have learnt all these things in three-phase system. So to improve the properties of the soil, to improve the engineering properties of the soil, we need to improve the density of a soil. So for improvement of density, what is density? Density is nothing but mass divided by volume. So if the mass is more in constant volume, then we can say that density will increase. Okay, so we need, our aim is to increase the density. So you can see over here, compaction of soil mass is done to improve the engineering properties. So there are many engineering properties such as bearing capacity, permeability, settlement, etc. So bearing capacity can be improved by compaction. Reduction in permeability can be achieved by doing the compaction. Settlement reduction can be achieved by doing the compaction. So these are various engineering properties. Even piping phenomenon can be avoided by doing the compaction. So there are various engineering properties which we can improve by uh, doing the compaction. So compaction generally increases the shear strength of soil and hence stability and bearing capacity. So compaction also increases the reduces the permeability, reduces the settlement, reduces the danger of piping effect, etc. Now it is useful in order to reduce the compressibility and permeability. Now compaction effect, how the effect is going to take place after doing the compaction. When we expel the air from the voids, the total volume will reduce. So you can see when this is the soil mass. So I have represented all the individual constituents separately. In the soil mass, if I compress it or if I compact it by some mechanical means, so after compaction what is going to happen, we are going to expel out all the air from the voids, then the total volume will reduce. When the total volume will reduce, the density increases. So you can see density is equal to mass by volume. When the volume will reduce and mass will increase, so in that case the density will increase. So compaction of soil is required for construction of earthen dams, canals, embankments, highways, runways, in many other engineering applications. So there are various applications in which this compaction is required. For example, if I take the earthen dams, to reduce the permeability, we need to do the compaction. If I take the canal, to reduce the piping effect or to reduce the wearing of soil, we need to do the compaction. In case of embankments, so road embankments, so whenever the road profile will be at some height, there will needed at some height, we need to create the embankment for the road. So in that embankment, to provide the certain stability for the road, we need to compact the soil. In case of highways as well as runways, we need the compaction. So just I have listed out the field situations where the compaction is needed. So when sufficient bearing capacity is not available even at greater depth. So whenever we want to construct a building, whenever we want to construct a building, uh, if sufficient bearing capacity is not available. What is bearing capacity? Bearing capacity is the load taking capacity of soil. Okay, if the soil is very much hard, the load taking capacity will be more. So whenever we, as we go to depths, the uh, capacity of soil, bearing capacity of soil will increase. So whenever we move for a greater depths, even at that depth, the bearing capacity available is very small, or it is not available, sufficient bearing capacity is not available. So in that case, this compaction is necessary. Next, you can see when the soil is highly pervious or porous and it is used in water retaining structures. For example, I can take the example of earthen dams. I can take the example of earthen dams. So in case of earthen dams, those are nothing but water retaining structures. So in case of water retaining structures, when the soil is highly pervious, when the soil is highly pervious, what is going to happen? Whatever the water which we have retained due to the pervious or due to high permeability, the water will uh, escape through the voids. So to prevent that, we need to compact the soil. So specifically, whenever there is a very pervious soil or very much porous soil, this compaction is necessary. Next, economical foundation design. So whenever the bearing capacity is low, the size of foundation will increase. Whenever the bearing capacity will be low, size of foundation will increase. So to reduce the size of foundation, we need to increase the bearing capacity of a soil. You can see the point number 1. If I want to increase the bearing capacity of soil, I need to go for compaction. So if I compact, bearing capacity will increase, and with that increase in bearing capacity, we can design the foundation economically. So in roads and tunnels, etc. So in case of roads, as I have taken the example of embankment, in case of embankment as well as in case of tunnels, to prevent the land movement or to prevent the erosion of the soil, we need to go for compaction, as well as to improve the strength as well as stability. We need to go for compaction in case of roads and tunnels. In case of special soils, for example, I will tell you, uh, in nearby this particular area or in nearby Kolhapur area, there is a black soil which is present, that is called as black cotton soil. So black cotton soil is a special type of soil which needs proper compaction before construction, because bearing capacity of such a type of soil is very much less as compared to other type of soils. So under the situation when performance characteristics are to be improved, so what are the performance characteristics? So performance characteristics of the soils might be shear strength of a soil, or bearing capacity of a soil, or permeability, reducing the permeability of soil, etc. These are performance characteristics of the soil. So whenever the situation occurs when the performance characteristics are to be improved, so in that case the compaction is required. Okay, so these are the 6 points when we need the compaction. Next one, standard. To determine the compaction, or what is the amount of compaction required, we need to carry out the compaction. There is some standard so that I can say that the soil has reached maximum level of compaction, like that. So to find out the maximum compression that can happen to a soil, we are going to perform the tests. So I will just, before moving to the tests, I will take a casual example. So you can see, if I take a dry soil and if I try to compact it, so it will not get compacted fully. But if I add little water, what is going to happen? It will slowly starts getting compacted. If I add more water, again there will be more compaction. More compaction means more reduction in volume. If I add again more, if I add more water, so again there will be reduction in volume. That means there will be more compaction. One point, we will reach a point where if I add more water, there will be no reduction in volume and there will be no compaction which is going to take place. So we need to find out that particular boundary water content for the compaction, because we won't be able to compact the soil in a dry state because it will not get compacted. But if I want to compact the soil completely, I need to compact it in wet state. So what is the amount of water, or what is the boundary water content at which soil will get compacted completely? We need to find out. So beyond that particular water content, if we add water and if we try to compact again, there will be reduction in compaction. Again there will be reduction in compaction after that water content level. I hope you have understood this particular logic. The logic is very simple. In dry state the compaction will be very less. As soon as I add small amount of water, compaction will start, so reduction in volume also starts. So again if I add water, reduction in volume and compaction are going to happen. Similarly, we will reach a particular boundary after which if I add the water, if I add more amount of water beyond that particular level, the, we won't be able to achieve more compaction. So it is a maximum limit of water content also, as well as the uh, compaction also, or else I can call it as a density also. Next you can see these are all the things which you need to know before moving to the test. So in case of standard Proctor test, what we are going to do, we are going to find out that particular boundary water content. So boundary water content at which we can reach the maximum compaction. Maximum compaction means what? Maximum dry density. So maximum dry density can be reached when we reach the maximum compaction, and maximum compaction can be reached at a particular boundary water content. So that boundary water content is called as optimum moisture content, and that maximum density, that maximum compaction, and in that compaction the whatever the density which we are going to reach is called as maximum dry density. So in this particular test, these tests are specifically meant to find out the optimum moisture content and maximum dry density. So you may ask me why we need to find out the optimum moisture content and maximum dry density. We need to find out optimum moisture content because if I want to compact a soil in the field, I need to maintain that particular water content, the same water content, that is optimum moisture content, to achieve the maximum dry density. If I achieve the maximum dry density, the compaction will be more. So to do that, we need to find out the optimum moisture content and maximum dry density for that particular soil. So standard Proctor test is a test in which we can find out those both, that is optimum moisture content and maximum dry density. So to access the amount of compression and water content, that is amount of compression means maximum dry density, water content means optimum moisture content required in the field, compaction tests are done on the same soil. So same soil whichever is there in the field, we are going to take in the laboratory and we are going to do the test. The test provides the relation between water content and dry density. The water content at which maximum dry density is attained is obtained from the relation provided by the tests. So equipments which we are going to use. So this is the mold and this is the collar. So mold dimensions are inner to inner dimensions are 100 mm. Height of the mold is 127.3 mm. Height of the collar will be 60 mm. So this is the hammer. So diameter of a hammer will be 50 mm. Height will be 310 mm. So this is the base plate on which we are going to keep the mold. We are going to attach the collar, and after that we are going to go on adding the water and we are going to go on compacting it. So the procedure is very simple. There is a different type of molds for coarse grained and fine grained soil. So for fine grained soil, mold capacity is equal to 1000 ml. For coarse grained soil, mold capacity will be equal to 2250 ml. So hammer recommended, so hammer which we are going to use is 2.6 kg. So here also it is same. Height of fall from which, the height from which we are going to drop the hammer, height from which we are going to drop the hammer is 310 mm. So number of blows which we are going to provide is 25 blows for 3 layers. Number of blows here which we are going to provide is 56 number of blows for 3 layers. So procedure is very simple. Take about 3 kg of soil, air dried, not one dried, air dried, passing through 4.75 mm. So it is fine grained soil. Next, water is added to soil to bring the water content to about 4%. So initially we are assuming that water content is 0%. So by weight we are going to add 4% of the water. Okay, if I add 4% of the water content for this 3 kg of soil will be 4% totally. Okay, so for 1 kg if I want to bring the water content to 4% means how much amount of water I have to add? 40 grams of water I have to add for 1 kg. So 40 plus 40 plus 40, it will be 120 grams of water I have to add in 3 kg of soil to bring the water content to 4%. So initially we are going to start with the 4%. Okay, and 8% for coarse grain. So 8% initially we are going to start with 8%. The soil is mixed thoroughly and kept it for 15 minutes to get mature. The mold is cleaned. So what we are going to do, we are going to place this mold on this particular base plate. The mold is cleaned and you can see the procedure, and greased lightly. The empty mass of mold with the base plate is noted down. So initially we are going to note down the empty mass of the base plate, mold with base plate. The soil is compacted by 25 number of blows. So we are having the hammer which weighs 2.6 kg. Height of drop we are going to consider it as 310 mm. So in 3 layers we are going to place that particular soil. So for each layer 25 number of blows we are going to give, with weight of hammer as 2.6 kg and height of drop is from 310 mm. After compacting third layer, remove the collar. So with this mold we are going to attach the collar also. So after compacting third layer, remove this particular column, trim off if any extra weight is there. So we are going to trim off that extra soil mass. So trim off the surface, get the mass of the mold. We are going to find out the mass of the mold. So initially empty mass we know, and now mass of the mold also we are going to know. So representing soil mass are taken from bottom. So bottom of the from the bottom surface, middle surface as well as top surface, representative samples we are going to take, and we are going to keep it in the oven for water content determination. Okay, after determining the water content we can find out the dry density. So before finding the dry density we can find out the bulk density. How we can find out bulk density? Bulk density is nothing but mass divided by volume. So what is the volume? We know the volume, that is you can see over here, height of mold is 127.3 mm, diameter is 100 mm. So pi d square by 4 into height, we can able to calculate the volume of this particular mold. So if I want to find out the mass, how I will be able to find out the mass? So final mass divided minus initial mass, final mass minus initial mass. What is the final mass? Final mass is mass of the mold with compacted soil after removing the collar. And what is initial mass? Weight mass of empty mold, mass of empty mold. So like this we are going to get the mass of soil which is present. So mass divided by volume is going to give us bulk density. So dry density is equal to bulk density divided by 1 plus water content. So this water content we are going to get by taking the representative soil sample from bottom, middle and top, and keeping it for water content determination. So like this we are going to get the dry density. Next, the soil is removed from the mold. is broken with hands. More water is added to soil, so as to increase the water content by 3 to 2 to 3%. So initially we have started with 4% of water. Now we have to add more amount of water so that we can increase the water content to 2 to 3%. So now the water content will be around 6 to 7%. The test is repeated and dry density and water content are determined. So after adding the water, same procedure we have to repeat, and we have to determine the bulk density and dry density as well as water content. Next you can see when we have to stop this particular test. Now we have to stop this particular test when, now what is going to happen for each reading, this dry density will go on increasing. One reading in a one after crossing that particular boundary water content, that is optimum moisture content, if I try to compact, the compaction will not happen. So at that particular point this dry density will increase. So dry density will decrease. So for all the readings it will go on increasing, and for particular one or two reading the dry density will suddenly decrease. So at that particular point, after decreasing, another reading we have to take. After that we have to stop this particular test. So after stopping the test we need to draw the graph, that is water content versus dry density. So for each increment of water we are going to find out the dry density, and we are going to keep the soil sample for water content determination. So after determining the water content and dry density, we are going to plot the graph. So this is a first reading, second reading, third reading, might be fourth reading. So you can see from fourth or fifth reading the density suddenly decreasing. So in x-axis water content is increasing, but in y-axis also density was increasing previously, but suddenly it has decreased. So after decreasing one or two readings I have to take, and then I have to stop the test. So whatever the peak of this graph is there, I have to draw the vertical line, I have to draw the horizontal line. This vertical line indicates optimum moisture content. This horizontal line indicates, the horizontal line where it touches the y-axis indicates the maximum dry density. So this is about the standard Proctor test. So this particular curve is called as compaction curve. So after this, in next session we are going to study the salient features of compaction curve, how this compaction curve is useful in engineering determinations. Thank you.